Well, we're starting this video out less caffeinated. Buenos nachos, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're going to be working on this illustrious Xbox 360 console. It has a problem, but first we need to figure out what that problem is and how to repair it. Now, I'm no stranger to these Xbox 360s. I've been repairing them for quite some time. However, you've not seen it on this channel until now. So let's go ahead and plug this thing in and see what it's doing. Before we can even power this console on, not that it really even matters, but I would like to know the model, or really the revision board that's inside this thing. What is it, you ask? Well, this thing is using a 16 amperage power supply, 16.5 to be exact. And of course, this console was manufactured in 2007, so that would probably put it in the range of being a Zephyr, potentially a Falcon, but I think that since it's using the 16.5, we could probably lean more towards the Zephyr. We're going to be using our universal power supply, or at least it's kind of considered universal for the older generation Xbox, the Red Ring of Death Plague generation. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Let's go ahead and tell you that we're going to be plugging in the AV as well, because you know, why not? Actually, let's try out HDMI. Since this console likes HDMI, we'll go ahead and use HDMI if we can find a cable, of course. All right, we're going to plug in the HDMI. Not the AV, because this was an HD console for its time. It detects it over here, but it looks like we have the red ring over there. We first need to determine the error code for this console, because not all Red Ring of Death errors are the same. So we're going to hold this sync button down and press eject. So that's 0, 1, 0, 2. Which most likely is a GPU issue. Now, if you don't have the Red Ring of Death codes memorized, which I certainly do not, we'll have a link down below to some resources with the codes and their explanation. Without further ado, let's open this thing up. And first thing I do is I'll rip off the front faceplate. So you just stick your fingers under here and it comes out like that. I don't know if we've got lucky or if maybe somebody somehow faked the sticker, but it doesn't look like this has actually been tampered with. Looks like an original sticker from Microsoft. Guess we'll see how true that is. And we're going to be using our trusty Xbox opening tool right here, which you pretty much can get on any Chinese website, eBay or Amazon. You'll stick this tool in here like this to loosen up these tabs, and you just press up. And I didn't need to do it for that one. And there are going to be some tabs right here that you need to press in. And there's going to be another one over here on this side. And you're just pressing up ever so slightly while you're pressing in with this tool. And there's one hidden back here. And there you are. And you'll do the same thing to the bottom, though I think it'll be a little bit easier. And there you are. Now we need to separate the shell. You'll use these two I guess teeth, as we'll call them, press through. And I like to pull the console like that. And then now we have this side right here. And same thing, just one hand being held here while pulling this way. And you can slide out both pieces just like that. Now we're not done yet. Wonder if Microsoft would honor the warranty, seeing as how the sticker has not been tampered with. Perhaps we're a little too far out. There it goes, it's too late now. You can either use your fingernail to slide underneath this tab right here, and you can do the same for the others. And then you'll also be pulling both pieces of plastic away from each other. That way it doesn't slide underneath and lock itself again. And we have one final tab here. You could either use a spatula or some tweezers. And now you have both sides of the shell separated. And you can lift that up. All right, so there are a few screws that we need to undo here, and that's going to require a Torx bit. It doesn't look like anyone opened this console up before, but it's hard to tell. For these black screws right here, you're going to need a T8, and for these, you're going to need a T10. You got that? The 6 longer screws first. of which there are 8 screws. But that's not all. This is just what you see. There are actually 3 more of these hidden somewhere else. Where are those hidden screws, you ask? Well, they're right here. And now you'll be able to remove the shell from the chassis, but first you need to dislodge the button. And you can do that using the spatula tool right here. Make sure you're careful, you'll bust this plastic nub. And now we can lift this thing up and we can see how devastatingly dusty it is in here. Which it isn't too bad. And then we do have 3 screws that we need to unscrew right over here, and you'll just use your finger to pry this up, like so. And these are T8s. And now this can be freely dislodged. And right now the drive is going to be loose, but that's fine. You may now proceed to removing the remainder of the screws. I would note that there are gold looking ones right here and another one right there, and then you have silver looking ones right here along with gold here in the back. I don't really think it matters, but I think some of these screws may be zinc plated, and that's probably the reason for the coloring. Someone in the comments can go ahead and let me know. And it's pretty straightforward to remove the disk drive. As for the fan, you will need something to pry up, just like that. And you can disconnect the fan by just pulling the connector up. And now this board will lift right out. And there's what it looks like. Other than the fact that this board is pretty dusty, I think it looks to be in pretty decent condition. So we'll first start off with removing the heat sinks. We're going to be using our Executor X-clamp removal tool. Man, this thing has gotten so much use over the years. From a prodding tool for CPU, processor, reflows, reballs, to, well, taking off the X-clamps on these Xbox 360s. So there really isn't much to it. You just slide the tool into the grooves like so, pry up, and it comes up just like that. And you'll repeat the process for both the CPU and GPU, because we're most likely going to repaste this unit. My glove is torn already. Make sure you're careful that you do not slip, as you do not want to knock a bunch of capacitors off, because I've seen that in my day, and well, I hate it when people do that. Such a easily avoidable issue. And if we can somehow manage to get this one over there, there we are. All right. And now we do need to remove these temporarily, so I'm just going to put them right here. That heatsink and GPU definitely need a cleaning, and here's what we're working with. And we do have the corner fill around this GPU and CPU, and if you didn't know, this was Microsoft's attempt to prevent the red ring of death, and we all know how that story ended. So let's go ahead and take this board over to the tank and clean it up. And we're just going to dunk this in our tank, and we're going to be using 99% isopropyl alcohol. Hopefully the alcohol will loosen up this thermal paste. If not, we'll have to go ahead and use our special blend of thermal paste remover. We'll be back in a couple minutes. We're going to place our board on the rework machine. That way we can bake out all the alcohol, and of course we'll remove the corner fill. Alright, let's check and see if we can remove this corner fill. Yep, looks like it coming right up. Excellent. We're going to go ahead and remove this GPU. And we'll let the machine do its thing, and we'll be back when it's time to remove the chip. Let's make sure that solder is liquidous. Alright, looks like it is. Go ahead and lift up this chip. And there you are. Now we'll go ahead and remove that ROHS compliant solder that's been plaguing all of our nightmares.
Do you have a console in need of repair or modification? Do you not have a console? Don't fret, we offer repairs and upgrades as well as refurbished ones. For more information, fill out the contact form on our website, mixelectronics.com.
I'm just floating on top of this. I'm not really applying any pressure. And we're using our Hakko FX-951 soldering iron and a spatula tip. Even though the internet may disagree with it, that is what Hakko says it is. You want to make sure you get all of that old solder off of here, otherwise we're just going to be back with the same problems. Alright, and that should be good enough. We'll go ahead and clean this chip off. We do have to apply some tack flux. I'm going to be using the SteriFlux, which is this stuff right here, and we're just going to apply that with the brush. You want to give it a nice even coat. We'll go ahead and put our stencil on, which is a direct heat stencil. And that's how it looks right there. And of course we're going to be using SN63 PB37 solder balls. We'll go ahead and fill these in. Alright, I'd say we're ready for the hot air. And we're just going to go in a circular motion around this GPU so we can attempt to evenly distribute the heat. And you don't want to hang out on the chip too long or else it'll pop on you. And we'll go ahead and let this cool down. We'll go ahead and separate the stencil from the GPU. It's that simple. Looks pretty good. At this point we're going to apply the SteriFlux to the GPU area. It's probably a little too much flux, but I have been accused of using no flux in recent times, so well, more is better, I guess. And there you are, the GPU aligns just like that. It'll pretty much go right into the groove. We'll go ahead and run our profile and we'll see you back at the TV. So looking like these heat sinks are going to require the decanter of piss. So that's what we're going to use. Obviously it's not piss, this is like Goo Gone, which you can pick up at your local hardware store or Amazon today. And And we'll just let that sit for a minute or two. That way it can soak in and then it should come right off. And you can use a brush to just scrub it off. And now we can wipe this off. It is going to leave a little bit of an oil residue, so we're going to want to take care of that. We're just spraying it down with alcohol. And we're going to apply some of this stuff right here, the MX4. That looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and reattach the heat sinks. We'll start off with the GPU. And our CPU is next. And there's how it looks. It's like something's happening over here. And we have picture. Bet you this Xbox hasn't seen a TV screen in quite some time. We'll blow out the fan and reassemble the console off screen. If you found this video helpful or useful, please remember to leave us a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Until next time.